Hey guys, so it's Desiree here. I'm a licensed mental health counselor. I'm the owner of Anxious Black Girls, a virtual private practice that focuses on healing Black women who struggle with relationships, de-stressing their lives, navigating life's transition, and just really honing in on meeting their needs so that they can have the life that they truly and deeply desire. So what we're doing here is just giving you guys some background about all types of mental health concerns that impact the women specifically at Anxious Black Girls. So of course, I have my little iPad down here and I'm going to be reading some of the stuff directly off of here because it's just a lot of information. But today's topic is going to focus on Black women and anxiety. So a lot of times when my clients come in, they will be talking about feeling like they're worried all the time over every single thing. They're constantly, like it's to the point where they are, it's like it's disrupting their sleep. It's getting in the way of their relationships. It's just a constant of their life and they're sick and tired of having to deal with it. But what I also recognize is that a lot of my clients don't name it anxiety. They just say, you know, I'm a worry wart or I'm this, or they name it a bunch of different things than what it actually is. So we are here to clear the air and to let y'all know that you have anxiety. Right? And there's nothing wrong with it. It took me until I was in my adult life to understand that like being worried all the time about everything wasn't actually like normal. Like that wasn't what like everyone did, but I didn't have the words for it either. Why? Because Black people don't really, generally speaking, don't really have these kind of conversations about our mental health conditions. And because I want to make sure that we start to disrupt that, because we are way, way, way behind when it comes to addressing our mental health concerns, right? Because we feel things and just as deeply as everyone else. I want to make sure that in my pocket of the world of mental health, that I am giving you guys all the information that you need when it comes to naming what you are feeling, getting rid of the stigma of calling it what it is, and then figuring how to get help, okay? Because you are deserving of it. So let's hop right in. So how anxiety impacts Black women, okay? So one of the things that we have to do is identify what it is. Let's name it. I'm gonna read it directly off of here. This is like elementary in school, but whatever, let's get to it. Anxiety is your body's way of reacting to perceived threats and stressors. So anxiety can be both a mental and physical experience, and according to data, anxiety is more chronic and the symptoms are more intense for Black women than their white counterparts. I want you to know something because I like to get the facts and the numbers, okay? One thing that I need you guys to understand is Black women. 23% of US Black women have some sort of an anxiety disorder, whether it means you have panic attacks, general anxiety disorder, some sort of anxiety that's really unspecified, but you are feeling it. 23% of us. 23% of the US Black population that are women have some sort of anxiety disorder. And another thing that's very alarming is that 50%, so not 50% of those women, but 50% of US Black women overall also struggle with some level of a heart disease issue. Stress, right? Creates anxiety. Stress creates health issues. Stress creates a lot of things that we don't really like. So we need to be able to identify what we're feeling, name it, and get help. Okay? So what exactly does this look like? What are these symptoms of anxiety? Okay? So in general, when we think about general anxiety disorder, this is your excessive worry that's generalized across the board when you think about your life, right? So that's your life, your relationships, jobs, everything. So your worry does not have like a specific thing. It doesn't have a wife, it doesn't have a husband that is tied to. Your worry is across the board, okay? Here goes some symptoms. You have uncontrolled worry. So worry that is not like passing or fleeting, right? It's worry that's uncontrolled and you can't really get a grasp on it to the point that it's disruptive, right? Then we have sleep problems, right? So insomnia, and because you're not getting sleep, you're having tons of fatigue. You're feeling exhausted all the time. And sometimes what I like to tell my clients is that it may not always be a physical exhaustion. Sometimes you are mentally exhausted. And when you have that fatigue, right, of the mind or body, sometimes you're going to recognize that you also have things like issues with concentration, feeling really cloudy, not really knowing, like, like just this feeling, right? With the worry that's up under that. Sometimes your anxiety can manifest physically. Okay, so do you have like lots of tension? My anxiety is right up in here, right? Do you have lots of tension in your shoulders? Gastro issues, right? Are you finding that like you are constantly having stomach problems or issues with, bowel issues, right? The manifestation of stress in your body can really wreak havoc. So it's very important to recognize that if I'm having this constant thing where I'm going to the doctors and they can't really figure out what's going on, and all the numbers are the math is math and all that stuff is doing what it needs to do, but yet I still feel so out of control, maybe we need to start thinking, maybe this is like a mind thing. Maybe this is my mental health having a direct impact on my physical health, okay? And also what that could look like, right, is it manifesting in your body in this uncontrolled like energy. So am I really fidgety? Am I always feeling on edge, right? So there's something that I want you also to understand about anxiety. There is a cycle of anxiety. So what the cycle of anxiety looks like is the situation happens, you get triggered, right? You feel anxious, but then because we don't necessarily have the skill set to address the anxiety head on, what we do is we avoid. So trigger, oh my gosh, I feel anxious. Let me do something to busy myself. Let me do something that gets me away from feeling like this. What does this look in real life? Oh, you feel anxious, so you start really diving deep into your relationship. You busy yourself with partners, you busy yourself with men, women, whoever, right? It could be I'm busying myself with work. It can be I'm going to use a substance. Let me go smoke some weed. Let me go get a drink. This is the way that you are learning and teaching yourself to deal with the anxiety. So it's very important to understand how we use some of these unhealthy coping skills to avoid feeling what it is. And we don't know sometimes what it is because we don't name it, right? So you feel the relief after you use your coping strategy, but then guess what? Something else happens and you get stuck in this cycle again where something happens, the anxiety comes, you avoid, you get short-term relief. Well, what's missing here? What's missing is the skill to address the issue. So when I get triggered, I need to develop the healthy coping strategies and skills, the mindset things that I need to do in order to address the anxiety so that I'm not avoiding and developing more unhealthy patterns, which then makes me more anxious at times. You see how that works? All right, stay with me, right? So as Black women, I think we have a very, very special, it's a special experience when it comes to us expressing any sort of stress and anxiety or depression or anything like that. And I think it really has to do with the stereotypes that are associated with us and our existence. So I identified 4 of those things that keeps us, right, stuck and unable to access the help we need and unable to express ourselves in a way so that people can help and support us, right? So one of the things that I think can actually help facilitate more anxiety and stress in your life is adopting this idea or accepting this stereotype of being a strong Black woman. I tell people all the time, that ain't me. I am not a strong Black woman. You can call me resourceful. You can call me resilient. But that strong Black woman, I think, is dangerous and maybe even low-key violent, right? When it comes to my existence and my ability to take on stress. And I wrote this specifically. I said that it creates a narrative and expectation, right? That Black women can and will bear the brunt of the pain and still succeed without help. I don't know about you, but that's not me. Right? And I think about that in relation to getting any sort of help when I am in distress and how limiting that stereotype makes things, right? If you are in agreement with that stereotype as a strong Black woman, then you don't actually give yourself permission to ask for help because you feel that it is in direct opposition of you being strong. And that's just irrational. I find strength in understanding my weaknesses and limitation and then going to who can feed me and help me be better or just stable. Strong Black women, that ain't me. And I always tell this message to my anxious Black girls that come for services, that we are going to remove ourselves from that stereotype because it isn't helpful. The second stereotype creates a barrier to us being able to experience our emotions completely. Now, that is the angry Black woman, right? I remember being in graduate school and just feeling angry, right? I was angry in the moment about something and being made to be scary or I think, and of course the person that I was in opposition with was not a woman of color. And I remember saying to myself, I'm not the angry Black woman. My feelings are valid, right? What's happening right now is angering me and I'm expressing this in a really respectful way, but I am being made out to be the aggressor and I'm not, right? So when we are in alignment or in agreement, should I say, with the stereotype of being an angry Black woman or not wanting to be the angry Black woman, then it doesn't create space for you to experience your emotions, the full spectrum of your emotions. You can feel mad. There's nothing wrong with that. You can feel anger. It's a part of being alive. So when we don't allow ourselves to feel our emotions and express our emotions, right? Or learn how to express our emotions in a way that honors who we are, then and usually we don't do it because we're afraid of the negative feedback and judgment that comes with it. But think about that in itself. Everyone else can feel stuff. Black men can feel things. Women who are not Black can feel all of their emotions, right? And everyone creates space for that. But because we have the stereotype of the minute that we feel anything, right, that we get then labeled the angry Black woman, and how limiting that is. The hypersexualized Black woman, right? So this puts Black women in a box of being only for sexual conquest and pleasure for men. It also holds Black women to unhealthy and unrealistic beauty standards. And this creates more anxiety in us because if we are holding ourselves to unrealistic standards, then we're never going to feel that we are enough. We're never going to think we're beautiful enough. We're only going to think that our existence is to be a pleasure to this person. So let's talk about people pleasing, right? We want to make sure that we understand that we exist for more than physical pleasure, physical appearance, sexual pleasure. We are more than that, right? And if we require people to see us more than that, then that's okay as well, right? So we don't then have to be so anxious about, I need to be in this relationship, or, why isn't he calling me, or why isn't he doing this? You get really consumed and tying so much worth, right, to your existence and your emotional stability in relation to other people and how they're viewing you, and just how messy that can become. I want you to recognize that we are actually facilitating the anxiety and stress in our lives if we are tying all of our worth to physical appearance, okay? And lastly is the church girl, right? Let's talk about how the church, like church hurt is real, right? Church hurt is a real thing, but also think about some of the archaic, right? And very even misogynistic beliefs that comes from that institution and the mindset around that has damaged so many Black women, right? So what I have here is that it limits Black women to antiquated and limiting beliefs around your identity. So God forbid you are LGBTQ, right? It creates limitations around your own spiritual practices, right? Who is God? Right? And what does that mean for you? And if you come out of alignment, how you can be ostracized and mistreated, right? And then finally, things like relationships, right? Are you going to get married? Are you going to have children? Even your reproductive health, all of that within the confines of being the church girl or being of some sort of like in connection with any sort of spiritual practice, and how that can increase anxiety for you. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about the things that you can do to manage your anxiety. Okay, therapy. www.anxiousblackgirls.com. Okay, if you are in the state of Florida, we are here for you and we have availability. But therapy, honestly, the stigma around therapy is starting to lessen, especially in the Black community. So let's go ahead and build the momentum around that. Therapy is really an amazing, cathartic, and transformational experience. So if you are able to get another Black therapist or just a therapist who you are really building a connection with that you feel really has your best interest at heart, then I encourage you greatly to find someone and get started in that process, okay? Connect to a source, okay? So develop some sort of practice or routine that energizes you, okay? That could be friend groups, it could be spiritual practices, it can be daily routines, but you need to create some sort of healing routine and connect to healing spaces. That's incredibly important when we're managing things like anxiety, okay? We need something to help ground us. Prioritize your rest, okay? Please make sure that you give yourself permission to stop and rest. We don't do that enough. You can rest. Doing nothing is doing something. Take time to rest, okay? And then finally, ask for help. Rest and help, I find in a lot of my clients, especially the population that we work with in Anxious Black Girls, rest and help are two things that I see that the population of women that we work with struggle with the most. So asking for help, understanding that delegating tasks is totally acceptable, right? Hiring help is also something that you need to do if that's something that you are able to do. Or deciding that you don't want to do some things, right? Ask for help, assess your situation. If you feel that the anxiety is increasing, you start to think to yourself, who can I get? Where can I go to get the help that I need? All right, guys, I hope that was helpful. So if it was, you can go ahead, click the button at the bottom. You'll get your own copy of this worksheet. You'll get the copy of the worksheet for your reference. And like I said before, if you are in the state of Florida and you want to schedule a session with us, go to anxiousblackgirls.com/appointment to book a consultation. We also have healing classes where you are able to join us from anywhere around the country. And we have we cover all types of different topics that directly impact anxious Black girls like you. Thanks for watching.